Jungkook stood still. The room was quiet, save for the soft buzz of the ceiling light and the faint sound of his own heart crumbling. They were tangled in silk sheets, Taehyung's breath warm against his shoulder. It had been the first time in weeks his husband touched him with something close to desire. For once, Jungkook let himself hope. Let himself believe maybe he was wanted. And then, Mina, a whisper. A dagger. Not his name. Not him. Jungkook froze beneath Taehyung's body. Taehyung didn't notice. He kissed Jungkook's neck like nothing happened. Like he didn't just slice him open with a name that didn't belong to his husband anymore. Jungkook blinked up at the ceiling. He didn't speak. He didn't push him away. He just lay there, numb, shattered, pretending not to feel the sting in his chest. The next morning, Jungkook was already up, fully dressed, sipping black coffee in silence at the dining table. Taehyung came down in a silk robe, yawning. "Did you sleep well?" he asked, unaware. Jungkook looked up at him. Smiled softly. "I always sleep well next to my husband, a lie smooth enough to swallow his own pride." Taehyung leaned down to kiss his forehead. Jungkook didn't flinch, but he didn't close his eyes either. He was done pretending. That night, Jungkook stood before the mirror, tracing the faint bruise on his neck. He touched it once. Then he whispered to his reflection, "Let this be the last time I cry for you." It started with little things. Jungkook stopped asking Taehyung if he'd eaten. Stopped waiting for him at the door when he came back late. Stopped trying. Taehyung didn't notice at first. He was used to the quietness in their marriage, a polite, well-mannered boy who never raised his voice, never fought back. That's what made Jungkook so convenient. So easy. So invisible. But something had changed. "Where's the folder from yesterday?" Taehyung asked, rifling through his documents. "It's on your desk," Jungkook replied without looking up from his tablet. "No, it's not. I put it there." "Maybe you misplaced it." His tone was flat. Cold. He didn't even look at him. Taehyung paused. Jungkook had never spoken to him like that before. Over the next week, Taehyung watched as his husband moved through the house like a stranger. He still cooked breakfast, but didn't sit to eat. He still did the laundry, but stopped folding Taehyung's clothes. He still shared their bed, but always turned his back. There was no confrontation. No screaming match. Just silence. Silence louder than any fight. One evening, Taehyung found Jungkook standing in the rain. No umbrella. No jacket. Just staring at the sky like he was trying to wash something off his skin. Jungkook. Taehyung rushed over, pulling him under the awning. "Are you crazy? You'll get sick." "I'm fine, you're soaking wet." Jungkook turned his head. His eyes met Taehyung's for a moment too long. "I didn't mind the rain. It's cold, but at least it's honest." That sentence stuck with Taehyung long after Jungkook walked away. Later that night, Taehyung finally asked, "Did I do something wrong?" Jungkook looked at him, tired, eyes dull, a faint smile on his lips. "No, Taehyung, you didn't do anything at all." That hurt more than if Jungkook had screamed at him. The next morning, Taehyung stood in front of the mirror, brushing his teeth, when something caught his eye on the sink counter, a pair of gold rings. The wedding rings they never truly wore. Jungkook's was missing. Downstairs, the house was eerily quiet. His coffee sat on the table, still steaming. There was a note beside it. Just one sentence, written in Jungkook's neat handwriting. "If I'm not your minor, Then don't pretend to love me like you loved her. Taehyung stared at the note for far too long. If I'm not your minor, then don't pretend to love me like you loved her. Minor. That name echoed like poison in his ears now. It had been a whisper. A slip. A ghost of the past that should have stayed buried. But it had slipped through his lips during the one moment Jungkook had finally let him in. And now Jungkook was gone. Where is he? Taehyung demanded. He called the house staff. Texted his assistant. Drove to Jungkook's studio. Nothing. No one had seen him. For the first time in his life, panic didn't feel like a concept, it felt like reality. Like breathing through smoke. Like looking for someone in a city that suddenly felt too big. He sat alone in the bedroom they used to share. The bed still smelled like Jungkook, soft, clean, comforting. Why didn't I notice? Taehyung remembered how Jungkook used to wait for him at the door, eyes lighting up even when he came home past midnight. How he used to put an extra sugar cube in his coffee because he noticed he always added one himself when Jungkook wasn't looking. He was always watching, always trying, always giving. And I gave him a name that wasn't his. Later that night, Taehyung opened the drawer in his study, the one he never let anyone touch. Inside were photos. Of her. Of their broken engagement. Her betrayal. The night she left him with a ring and a lie. He kept them out of pride. Out of memory. But suddenly, none of them mattered. He gathered the photos. Walked outside. Set fire to the past. As he watched the ashes disappear into the wind, one thought consumed him. He was never Miner's replacement. He was the only one who stayed. It took another 2 days before he found Jungkook. At an old park near Han River, the one he'd once mentioned in passing as a place he used to go as a kid when he was sad. Taehyung had remembered. He just never cared to ask why. There he was. Sitting alone on the swing, head tilted to the sky, eyes distant like he was far away from everything, especially Taehyung. Taehyung approached, heart pounding. Jungkook, the younger man, didn't turn. Didn't flinch. You shouldn't be here, he said quietly. I know, but I needed to tell you. I didn't mean to hurt you. Jungkook let out a breath. A humorless chuckle. You didn't mean to. But you did. Taehyung knelt in front of him. For the first time, he looked up at Jungkook like the one who was small. The one who was afraid. I don't love her anymore, Jungkook. I don't even remember what loving her felt like. But you, he reached out, hesitating. You stayed. You gave me warmth when I didn't deserve it. Then why did you call me by her name? Jungkook whispered. Why did you make me feel like I was just someone to fill the silence? Taehyung's voice cracked. Because I didn't realize what I had, until I lost you in the silence I created. There was a long pause. The wind carried the quiet between them. Finally, Jungkook looked at him. His eyes were glassy, tired. I'm not asking you to love me, Taehyung. I'm just asking you not to lie when you pretend. I'm not pretending anymore. He pulled something from his coat. Jungkook gasped softly. It was his wedding ring. I want to start over, if you'll let me. Jungkook held the wedding ring in his palm, the gold band glinting faintly in the moonlight. The one Taehyung had never worn. For a second, something flickered in his chest. Not quite hope, not quite peace. Just confusion. He met Taehyung's eyes. Eyes that looked softer now. Less guarded. Not like the man who once treated marriage like a contract and Jungkook like a formality. You say you're not pretending anymore, Jungkook murmured. But you've never once fought for me. Not until I left. Taehyung flinched. His voice came low. I didn't know I was allowed to. You always made things easy. You let me have you without ever demanding anything back, because I thought love meant sacrificing, Jungkook whispered. I thought if I stayed quiet and soft and careful, eventually you'd love me too. The silence between them stretched like a thin wire, ready to snap. Jungkook looked away, voice trembling. You don't get to love me when it's convenient, Taehyung. I know, he replied. I came here not to ask for forgiveness, Jungkook. I came to ask for time. Jungkook's jaw clenched. You want me back, he said, lifting his eyes again, hard and glossy. Then prove it, Taehyung swallowed. How? Show me what it looks like when you love me. The next morning, Jungkook returned to the house, not because he forgave him, but because he wanted to see if Taehyung truly meant it. Or if this was just guilt playing dress up as love. He moved into the guest bedroom. Didn't wear his ring. Didn't let Taehyung touch him. Didn't pretend anymore. And Taehyung? He started changing. Quietly. He woke up before Jungkook to make his coffee, exactly how he liked it. He waited for him after work, holding an umbrella when it rained. He bought groceries for dishes he'd seen Jungkook looking at in online videos. He started folding his own laundry. And then folding Jungkook's too, but only after asking. Is this okay? Are you comfortable? Can I sit with you? Always asking. Never assuming. It wasn't flowers or grand gestures. It was effort. It was presence. One night, Jungkook was curled up on the couch reading when he heard soft footsteps. Taehyung entered quietly, holding a blanket. You fell asleep with your feet cold last time, he mumbled, draping it over him. Jungkook blinked. The smallest part of his heart ached. Taehyung lingered near the doorway before whispering, I don't know how long it'll take, but I'll wait. Until you don't look at me like a stranger in your home. He left the room without expecting a reply. And for the first time in a long time, Jungkook clutched the blanket tighter and cried. Not from sadness, but from the slow, cautious return of something terrifying, trust.